Okay. So we will officially call this meeting to order. Thank you all for coming. And moving on, record of attendance, please. We're all here. Sort of here. We entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda as presented.
So moved.
We need to
Oh,
add.
there was an addition.
Yeah. There's 3 additions we need to add at the end of it. So they'll be under number 9, nominations, CEO performance review, and the working New Brunswick agreement.
Right.
We'll deal with them as we come to it. So someone make that motion without a
Well,
Seconder.
Second.
moved by John. No.
Libby and Nancy.
Libby and Nancy. Moved by Libby, second by Nancy.
Right?
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary
You
minded?
did it.
Motion carried. There was 3 or 4 hands went up over there. Then you got Bruce down there, he's hiding. Okay, so we've done that. Approval of the minutes, please.
So approved.
Moved by Jim, second by Libby. Question on this motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor? Contrary minded? Carried. Okay, disclosure of conflict of interest. If you have a conflict at any time, please remove yourself from the room till that's dealt with, and we'll see if we get you back in.
Which one was the, what number was that, Phil?
4.4, I think.
Right, okay,
Vice
yeah.
Chair McKenzie will declare.
Yeah.
4.4, I'll be leaving. I don't know what time I'll be back.
Okay, let's go with this.
And on that, would St. John and Granby Westfield be leaving on the discussion regarding the
5.2.
what is it, 5.3?
5.2.
5.2, yes, the Crane Host Community Economic Development Fund. That's the funding that would go directly to those 2 communities.
What do you think?
My understanding is that it would be personal financial gain that would exempt me from voting on that or being present for that, but I'll leave that to the chair to adjudicate.
Well, I think we have to review, our conflict of interest. In this case, it is a program that's being approved with Crane Mountain budget, through the Crane Mountain budget.
It's the other new elements that are being
Yeah.
requested that I'm referring to.
Yeah. My initial instinct, just from my and executive assistant Cassie Silhana can provide some additional, but this was not one that was flagged during the approval process of this. So when we identified that this was going to be part of the budget in the 28-25 budget when it was approved, it wasn't flagged as a conflict at that time. That would have been the creation of the fund, of the investment into that. So my instinct is that there isn't a natural conflict that I'm aware of. However, I'm open. That's just my initial. I'd have to kind of dig a little bit deeper to review whether there's a conflict that would require them to leave.
And the reason why I'm asking the question is because if it were any request for any community, my own included, if it were something specifically for expenses, I would say I should not have a vote in that. But again, that is my own interpretation. You were saying that we're not certain with the interpretation as we have it. I'm okay with that. I'm just bringing it to the discussion to see if there was.
I don't know if we'll have the time to determine it. I think it's something that we're going to have to either say we're uncomfortable with voting on it now because we don't have this clarification, or we can say we have the vote. We come back and say, upon reflection, we've identified that there is a conflict. But the initial phase was that we didn't think there was, so I could take the heat to the front end to say I didn't think
No
it was,
heat taken.
didn't flag it, but I can come back and ask for forgiveness
From
in a month
Libby?
from Libby and say, And what she really wants to hear is, you were right.
Jim, you got some?
Yeah, in the past years, when we voted on this, St. John and Granby Westfield have never left the room. This would be the first time it's ever had to happen.
Yeah.
I don't see the conflict of interest for this, because this is already handed down
Yeah.
through the CMEI group.
Yeah, so if everybody's okay with that, we'll just go with status quo. If we're wrong, Phil will correct us and
Phil's wrong.
tell us to do it again. Is that okay? All right, let's move, verbal update from our CEO.
Great. Listen, today's agenda I think is really exciting. And I am, you don't usually get excited by an agenda, and you might not get excited after what I tell you, but needless to say, I am excited. And the reason is that what makes a great agenda? A great agenda is one that shows a multitude of departments, of expertise and skill sets, all kind of culminating in one. And I think this is one that really demonstrates that. You're going to hear from various different departmental leads and staff within the organization, and it's really tied to some of the biggest things that we're working on this year. That's part of our 2025 approved work plan. So for me and on behalf of the staff that we have, this is always an exciting moment when you have these meetings. That you're like, wow, we're really starting to show the progress of what we said we wanted to do as a commission. And there's a lot of pride that's taken into the work that you'll see today. So I guess a proactive thank you for all those involved in the countless hours of discussions and meetings and work. I'm not going to go through it because you'll hear about it shortly.
Right.
I did want to give a couple more targeted updates. One is we had what I thought was a really productive regional rail working group meeting, and if you recall, we created the regional rail working group without the operators, without CN, New Brunswick Southern Rail, and the port. At the time, they just were not ready to become full members, and one of the big efforts we had early in the year is how do we get them on? And what's awesome in the family of the FRSC is that we have Envision St. John. And Envision St. John has a different relationship with especially private sector partners than local governments do and the FRSC. And we really leaned on that relationship to entice these groups to come to this first meeting. So they actually presented for over an hour, over an hour and a half of their operations and their links to the community, a variety of questions that were on the minds of those of the working group. And it really invited what I saw is the multitude of connections that, from a local government mindset and the operators in the port, where those links are. And it might not have been as apparent to everybody in the room before, but once they started presenting, it was clear. So I think what we're working on now is, well, how do we build off of this? And you might ask, well, is the impetus to get them as full members? That might be something that's achieved, but ultimately this dialogue is what's important. It's not an us versus them. Let's bring this in together, because we all have a role in solving this issue, which is if rail continues to increase, the social license for it is not going to be there if the local governments aren't tagging along on what needs to happen. And one thing that we also acknowledge is that there's past conflicts that are real, that there's some rebuilding to do in that relationship, and that's going to be, I suspect, part of the work of the committee, of the working group, is to rebuild those relationships. Just to give you an idea of some of the things that will be originating from that, we're setting priorities, of course, as a working group. One is that they are interested in opening up the Short Line Rail Act provincially, and several members of the working group are very interested in that. That would impact City of St. John and Granby Westfield more than other members, because that's that rail line. But it actually impacts other communities that fall outside of our Regional Service Commission. So part of this might actually involve Macadam, Fredericton Junction, St. Stephen, others that are on the line, if you may. The other thing that there's interest in is doing these joint exercises with the safety crews of the operators and the protective services organizations across the region. There's still a lot of interest in that, so that might be one of the key outcomes that come from this. And then lastly, and I think most importantly is, and what we're trying to work out is, when should the operators inform the public of change in the routes, the timing of the routes, the length of the routes. Because so much is fluctuating, it's not clear what that threshold is, but we've got to come to that. So when you say, hey, we're starting a new train starting at midnight, well, it'd be great for the mayors to know that before it happened, because you're going to get about 1,000 calls as soon as it happens. So these are the types of things that we can become partners in, proactively informing that it does look like this route that was done in the last couple days is going to become permanent, and you should be aware of that, and you should prepare. We should prepare on why that's happening. There's other stuff we heard, which again I'm getting into a little bit of details, but they're already doing adjustments. They're doing adjustments now to say to prevent traffic buildup. They're doing their lines at night, in the middle of the night, where there's less traffic and less impact to those in vehicles and pedestrians. So I think we've got to bring that to life too, that there is some efforts there. A couple more rapid fires here. First, you will notice that our agendas and our reports that are sent to you are sometimes quite long. We have a lot of attachments. One of the things that we've tried to do in this meeting that you'll notice is that more are links. So we're saying, here's the report, this is the summary. If you want more, we're not going to attach the 60 pages or the 100 pages. Here's the link. Take a look at it if you want the detail. And we're going to continue to try to do that to kind of keep the stuff, your packages nice and narrow, but give you the opportunity to review it if you like. I did want to share some exciting news too. One of our employees, Scott Borden, went to for his professional development this year, went to a transportation conference, and there's great learnings there. But during the conference, he was able to identify an organization to give him a free origin destination survey, which is part of what we have in our regional strategy. So he was able to make that connection, and he's pursuing that. He'll share a little bit more detail, of course, with the transportation committee. But that's what we're looking for whenever we go to a conference, is these connection points. And usually they're not as tangible as somebody's going to pay for something we wanted to do. But excellent work on that, Scott. We also recently had a tobacco offering ties session with an elder from the First Nations community, with our landfill staff and our professional and management staff. It was an excellent session, a great opportunity to pursue our own action plan on truth and reconciliation, and it really brought the team together. We also recently did a planning and building study tour to the Southeast Regional Service Commission, learning from what they have as services and where they're heading. And that was great learnings there. I have a couple more updates, but I did want to bring somebody up on our Sustainable Transportation Week. Maggie Mora is our communications officer, and if the board will allow it, I've asked her to just give a short presentation on some of the outcomes of that Sustainable Transportation Week. She's worked so hard with Scott and others in the team to put it together, and she has a couple things to share. Well, while you get set up, I'll be efficient. I'll give the rest of my updates. I did want to mention that we do usually give updates on committee work at our board meetings, but because there's so many deliverables tied to the work of committees, we forego those in those types of sessions like today, where we're showing you a lot of the deliverables of what the committees are working on or the mandates are working on. The last update that I had, Maggie's just getting this wrapped up, is on the rural plan. We are embarking the very initial stages of the rural plan for the rural district, and we are doing background report, and there's a meeting coming forward in the future. But I thought I'd ask if Director Dyer has anything else to add on what the perception is and where that's heading.
Well, few weeks ago, we had another meeting out on the peninsula. Gave a brief update from Scott and a few little things that we had to add. And there was over 100 people at the meeting. It went extremely well. The meeting was for the people. We spent close to an hour and 45 minutes straight Q&A. Everybody was very respectful. I think most folks just wanted some clarification. They felt like they hadn't been involved. I was very clear to them that this is a pre-meeting to the meetings that are coming. You should expect a lot of engagement, especially from the folks on the Kingston Peninsula. Respectful engagement.
Yep.
Now that people kind of understand where we are with respect to the process, I think most folks left the meeting feeling much more comfortable than in the past. There's only one lady who I didn't really understand whatsoever. Otherwise, we were able to answer the vast majority of all their questions. One of the biggest contentious issues was 25 chickens.
25 what?
And I
Chickens.
went out on a limb.
Yeah.
And I said that will not be in the rural plan. Anyways, it was a very, it was a great meeting.
Good.
Yeah.
Great to
So
hear.
that's the biggest update.
Good.
People are very eager to be part of the process.
And if I could just say something to that, I think it's really important. First of all, that you had 100 people show up.
Incredible.
And secondly, that if you can set the atmosphere, that it's calm and it's meant to be an engagement, a Q&A, where they have a voice, then you provided that for them.
Yeah.
And I credit both of you gentlemen for being there and for setting that tone, because that's what it's
Yeah.
going to be going forward. Because now, the 100 people that were there will not tolerate any of the instigators. So kudos to you.
Yeah. That's good.
Okay, hi, good morning. I'm going to present you the results of the Sustainable Transportation Week campaign. I want to start just by acknowledging that in 2024 we built a foundation for what we envisioned for the campaign, what it could be and what this campaign could do. And then in 2025 we were able to see great growth in terms of the results and the outcomes of the campaign. We had two main channels for the campaign this year, social media, of course, and then a dedicated webpage under our website. And we also have like additional channels such as radio advertisement. We also printed some posters and distributed them all around all across the region. And finally, we also had used our residential newsletter to send out information. On the website, one of the main things that we changed this year was to add a sustainable transportation pledge, so that residents could engage and they could not only learn more about what sustainable transportation can look like, but also give us feedback, and we collected that feedback. So talking about the results, on social media was great. Like basically our numbers doubled from 2024 to 2025, and especially engagement. We realized that people not only view more the campaign, but they also liked it, and we get more clicks, more comments, more shares, which is great. And then I think this also lays the foundation for what 2026 can be, now that members of the community are more familiar with what Sustainable Transportation Week is. And the other thing that we did is that we connected the social media campaign directly to the website, so that to attract more traffic and to get people to get the resources. So it was like social media was the hook, but then on the website we had full resources for them to be able to implement different actions. at different capacities, and also being able to see some of the events that were happening at the same time in the region, in different communities, and that cross promotion really worked well. The other thing I want to mention is about the website. So we also saw an increase in views. Here you can see that we have 442 views, but I have to add like additional 200 that were exclusively for the pledge page. And we also have more than 300 active users. So people were coming in sometimes more than once to the website to see the different resources in the campaign itself. I also want to mention that for the pledge itself, we got 98 residents to sign the pledge. We have a big population, but really making someone take the time to go fill out a form, that means effort, that means time, and this is a very good number considering what our target audience was. And we were able to learn a lot about the various things that people do around the region to promote sustainable transportation and what they want to be engaged, so that was great. And we will continue analyzing that information for 2026 so that we can narrow and tailor the campaign to the needs and the values of the residents. Something that was really interesting for me as well, and I think for Scott and the Regional Transportation Committee, was we were able to use ETF dollars to pay or cover the promotion, which allowed us as well to allocate $1,000 for the prizes, and that drove a lot of interest from the residents. And the prizes, we also wanted to kind of like link this to the work that the regional facilities do. So we offer gift cards, and winners could choose from the different facilities which one they wanted to get their gift card. And they were very happy about it because it's nice not only being able to win something, but being able to pick what you want to get exactly. And we also offer some runners-up prizes from last year. And finally, we also decided to print the bike walk bus toolkits because they wanted to, like, people want to do it, but sometimes they're like not sure what they need. They don't have all the resources, so we were able to get those with the instructions, and also we provided safety vests. And finally, we really want to thank everybody here because they're staff members of all the communities, and and also the Funding Rural District. Everybody participated in different ways and at different levels, and this really helped us get to more residents and make sure that the campaign was useful and resourceful for them. So thank you, and we hope that we can keep growing this collaboration and synergy because it made a difference. We feel like this year was a big jump also because of that collaboration. So thanks for that. I don't know if you have any more questions. If not, I think that one of our main takeaways for 2026 is, again, to continue analyzing the data that we got. It was very interesting. We now have the numbers. There are nuances and there are details that we want to continue exploring, and that we think that can make a difference in 2026. And the other thing is that it was a really good decision to add this pledge because people are really engaging, and pledges are really work when it comes to commit yourself. It's like a self-commitment, but also like a commitment to your community, and I think that's a really good resource that we want to continue exploring. So that would be any questions?
Yeah, any comments or questions?
Thanks. As Chair of Regional Transportation, I want to thank you and thank Scott for the work that you did on Sustainable Transportation Week. The shareables, the collateral was excellent. I was excited to see the growth that happened this year. So thank you very much for all the work that you did on this.
Thank you.
Any more comments or questions? We're good? Thank you very much for your presentation.
That's it for me.
That's it? That's it for Phil. All right, we're gonna move on. Right now, we're gonna go on to the 4.1, the Planning and Building Inspection Monthly Report.
Where's the consent there?
Yeah, so, consent items, right?
Maybe say remove the consent.
Yeah.
item.
So basically, you can take 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, and 4.4 together
Yeah.
and adopt that if you'd like.
So moved.
I
Oh.
have a question and a comment about 4.4.
Okay.
So could we separate that one out?
Yes.
All except 4.4, Nancy?
All except 4.4, yeah.
Perfect, thank you so much.
So I'll move 4.1 to 4.3.
Moved by John,
Second.
second by Jim. Question on this motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Contrary minded? Carried. Thank you. Okay, moving on to 4.4. Is there any comments or questions on?
So if I could
That
make a
report.
comment on this, this is the project management piece of the aquatic center enhancement.
Right.
And I have a question, and I forgot John was going
Yeah.
to. My question is, what exactly are our funds paying for? Are we paying for the hired project management? Are we paying a piece of St. John's salaries? I guess that's really my question. Are we paying for St. John City salaries in this
Yeah.
amount?
Do you want to take that, Grant?
Sure, certainly. The agreement with the City of St. John would cover a dedicated project management position for ensuring that the project runs on time and on budget, at times weekly or more frequent coordination with whoever the selected architect and construction management, preparing tenders, funding agreements, and critically also includes the supporting services that the city would provide for that position. So that includes procurement when we put up construction tenders, some of the legal expertise and the sort of wraparound of services that support that employee that if it was within the FRSC, we would have to contract externally and find in other ways. So it's meant to be a supported role that has a fixed cost that allows us to better.
So it's pieces of various roles.
Along
as-
with that
as-
one single.
With the one
project
single
manager,
person.
Which I
Okay.
believe the post for the employment is already up with the city of St. John.
Okay, thank you. And I really feel that we should have the cost in the resolution. And so, Mr. Chair, if you would be open to an amendment, I would just ask that we add to the end of the resolution at an amount not to exceed $550,000, which I think is the total. 100 for the first year and 150 times 3, so that's 550. And then if it went over that budget, it would have to come back to the board, which I think is totally appropriate.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
would you permit me to add that amendment? Request
I'm good with that.
amount not to exceed $550,000?
Yeah, I'll move that.
I'm
Or
moving
Okay.
the
Or
amendment.
second.
Yeah, so moved by Nancy, second by Brittany. On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded?
Thank you,
Motion
Mr.
carried.
Chair.
Thank you. That's 4.4, right?
All right, we'll go get Director McKenzie.
We'll try him for one more, then you can leave. Crane. Yeah. Yep.
I mean, if you want.
So we have Catherine coming up here for the Regional Recreation Planning and Support.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
The Penny Regional Service Commission received news in March 2025 that we were successful in 2 of our funding applications through the tourism, heritage, and culture. So the first one, the workforce funding, is intended to hire a regional coordinator, and it's the bigger funding, so it's in the $50,000 for every year for 3 years. And then the second is a small one, and it is intended to support the development of a regional action plan. So out of the 12 commissioned, only 5 received the workforce funding. And so the department saw the value and the readiness of our region So we stood out because of our regional leadership already established, like the Regional Canada Games did. We stood out as well with the already established Fundy Recreational Professional Association, and we stood out because of the strong municipal leadership that we have in our region. The goal of these programs are to increase participation in sports and recreation, to improve accessibility, and to promote inclusivity throughout the region. So before bringing this opportunity to the board, we did consult with the already established group, with the Fundy Recreational Professional Association, to try to find some alignment. A number of opportunities were discussed with this group, and a number of alignment came up. Some of them was to explore recreation policy and standards for related to gender equity and inclusion policies, collective efforts to improve safety and security for cultural events. We've had some past in Canada, we've had some tragedy when it came to folks getting injured when there was cultural events, and looking at how can we create more safety around that. Support the integration of the 2029 Canada Games that's coming, and how to improve access to booking and partnership with GNB. You know, a lot of communities, access to the school is an ongoing concern. So these are some of the alignments that we discussed. Nothing was necessarily approved, just some ideas that were thrown with this group. However, you know, we do have, and I am aware that we do have some history that in the past we did have a short-term supportive role that was very specific to recreation, and we have learned and grown since then, and some of the ideas how to go about, because this is still for a short period of time at this point with this this funding agreement. So of course it is about looking at few actionable and tangible items for the 2 years that we will be able to hire someone for this opportunity. So how much will this cost us, I guess, is everybody's question. This will cost us nothing. This will, at this point, all the funding that we have received can cover this position for 2 years. And after 2 years, we will look at how are we going to even move forward, what that can look like if there's other funding available for this position.
Very good. Thank you. Any comments or questions, Catherine? Let me go ahead.
So I know with Rosse and St. John, and I'm not sure about the other communities, but we do have recreational directors who have worked on these similar things. So they have a whole lot of experience, background. You worked with them to bring them into the discussions and so on?
Yeah, that would be, they would be part of the Fundy Recreation Professional Association, I imagine?
Yes.
Yeah, and so yes, we brought them together, had a discussion related to that, and really this position would be to support this work that is already being done, to support some of these ideas that they are going to be bringing forward, how we could use this position to support the work.
Is this, and if I may, I'm just going to ask our CEO, is this the position that we previously had with somebody here and who's now gone to Envision, but is this the same role and we're refilling this?
Yeah, great question. That happened in 2018-19, I believe. So it was temporary funding. So this was what was brought up when Kat interacted with that group. They said, well, is this going to happen again? And we said, perhaps, because it's not long-term funding, but it is funding. And that was the ultimate question, is whether we want to engage on this, and is there value? And I think Brenda has something to say. She might have more
I
context.
oversaw that,
Okay.
that previous role, and that was to create a regional recreation plan for the region. This is a very different role in that it is much more in supporting the work that is existing and expanding it across the area. So it's about recreation programming much more, whereas the other one was looking at, we did the arena strategy, et cetera. So that was a much more comprehensive, I think, and that again came from tourism, heritage and culture, as does this grant as well, but I think they learned from that, as did we, through that process as well too.
So,
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
is this a program that the municipalities have to apply for?
No, this will be a position that would be under commission, and it is about creating a couple of actions that can be looked at for the whole region.
So it automatically is going to come to the municipalities?
Yeah.
Perhaps I'll clarify is the vision is that we would work with these director of recreations from across the region and create priorities that will benefit hopefully everybody is the goal, and we would use this contract position to bring value that would otherwise not be able to be achieved. Is there going to be a specific program for Quispam-Sis and a specific detail? That's not the vision. It would be the vision to bring the groups together to say, how can we develop something that everybody would benefit from? And whether that's changing the approval process to accessing sports facilities at publicly funded schools, or whether that's enhancing existing regional collaborations on like what is it called, Winterfest, or whatever. I'm just giving ideas, but this group will ultimately define what that is. And we did get some themes out of that. The other one was that how do you bring recreational impact to more rural communities? That was brought up, and everybody was like nodding their head and saying, well, how do we do that? So I think that will be a topic that will be top of mind for this group.
Go ahead, Bruce.
So I'm one of those rural communities. We have a very active recreation association, and we're not part of that professional group, I don't believe.
Yes, yeah.
Did you happen to meet with Tammy London?
Exactly, Tammy was
Okay.
part of the discussion.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That was I don't have to ask my question. I was just going to ask, how do you plan to engage
Yeah,
the
I'd say
rural
there is.
districts? But it's already in the process. That's great. Thank you.
That's great. Any more?
Maybe I'll just add one other thing, Kat, if you don't mind, is we were very cautious with this because this came not from us. This came from the province. And I know this is something that is top of mind for all board members and all CAOs and everybody, that we're cautious when the province dangles something to us and says, do you want to do this? And this was not something we were flagging before. So I think it's worthwhile just to explain that I think this is an example that we really wanted to test that out. We first brought it to the CAOs even before applying. We said, CAOs, should we even apply for this? We think we might be good candidates, and the feedback was, let's see if we get the money and then we'll talk about it. So we did that, and we got the money. We said, we got the money. It's like, go talk with the regional recreational team and then come back to us. We did that, and I think that might be a model for when the province does this again, because I suspect it will happen to us again, is that's how you do it. You say, honestly, this is not something we were going to do. So we're not naturally inclined to take on more work if we don't have to. But if this is of value to you, we want to know about it because we will engage with it if need be. So thanks, Kat, for your work with this one.
So this is a 2-year term, correct? And after that, it comes back to us to
decide
whether
if
we
we
want to go on with it more. Yeah. Okay, further. Yeah. All right.
I'll make a motion.
Yeah, someone want to make a motion?
Make a motion to direct the FRSC to execute the agreements with the Department of Tourism, Heritage and Culture, Government of New Brunswick, to support the multi-year funding support to enhance the regional planning and support towards the recreation and wellness in the Fundy region.
Moved by Jim, second by John. Question on this motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Carried. Thank you. Kat, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Crane Mountain. We have Mark the cloud here. Hey,
Get
Mark.
this chair up.
Yeah.
Hey, there we go. His legs are long. What can I say? I love the opening with Scott's trip to the conference and what we learned. I went to a GM conference in St. Andrews, and we ended up at the St. Andrews Brewery, and they sell 1 liter cans of beer if anyone's interested.
Huh?
That's my takeaway.
Well, as long as you got something positive, that's the main thing.
But why I'm here, yeah, back in, I'm looking for a motion here for adoption of terms of reference around the new Economic Development Fund. And you see that in your report. Just as a reminder, back in September 4th or 5th of last year, we did the preliminary budget review, and we went over some of the takeaways from the EIA process to go higher. And one of the things that came out of that was this $67,000 Economic Development Fund, which is kind of going in parallel to the community fund that we have through CMEI, occupying 2 corners of the sustainability triangle, the community side and the environment side, with our project funding on that. And then this one, the Economic Development Fund, is the kind of that third corner of the triangle, so it completes the sustainability portion of the triangle. I'm not going to reiterate all that. That fund ultimately was approved through the budget, and it exists, but of course we can't just dole out the funds. We had to have some methodology associated with it, hence the terms of reference, and we've been working on those since January. Ultimately what we did was we had there was a process of research and discussion. We worked with the CAOs from both St. John and Grand Bay Westfield. Andrew Beckett, sitting in the back, was there as well. Phil, myself, worked through a number of options on the fund, but ended up coming up with probably the most efficient methodology of the fund, which is outlined in your report, which would be to have the fund split between the 2 host community members by population, and the numbers are in there. I think it's 71% Grand Bay Westfield, 29% St. John, and those funds would be given on an annual basis to both communities, and this was agreed to by the CAOs, with the responsibilities of the communities to report back to the board on the usage of those funds to ensure, 1, they're used in the host community, and number 2, that they're used for economic development and tourism promotion within the categories outlined and parameters outlined within the terms of reference. The terms of reference themselves were developed. This was kind of a fun part of the process. You learned quite a bit, but probably the majority of what we took was from the Philanthropic Foundation of Canada, about good grant making. It's a guide. We worked through that. We used a number of communities, Government of Canada, City of Ottawa, State of California. We used a foundation, Canadian Women's Foundation, and developed all of our parameters through the terms of reference. Ultimately, kind of ended up in kind of the major highlight being that the fund itself, how it will be allocated, it'll be fairly efficient. It outlines the reporting back, and it outlines the incremental funding for future years, and it outlines a review for each of the 3 years as we go on. But there will be an annual review to ensure that the money's being spent properly. So ultimately, with that, Mr. Chair, I'm just looking for approval of the terms of reference.
Any comments or questions before
So we
we?
can start going at the money.
Yeah, that's right. Comments or questions before we?
We don't have a resolution yet, so.
Oh, yeah, okay.
No.
Yeah,
Someone
I'll
wanna-
move it.
Okay. Moved by Brittany, second by Nancy, please.
No, I'm not seconding,
not?
I have comments.
Yeah. Yeah. Moved by Brittany.
Okay, I'll second.
Second by John. On the question? Sorry.
Okay, so respectfully to all, I'm going to speak against this. So here we have a proposal for a new Economic Development and Tourism Fund to support the landfill host communities, which we now understand are 70% Grand Bay Westfield and 30% St. John. The first $67,000 appeared as a line in the 2025 landfill budget. I did speak against that on 2 occasions, but thinking that that might be a one-off, I voted in favor of the budget. But now this is a horse of quite a different color. We're now being asked to approve a second indexed fund for the host community, to support the host community. So just 2 or 3 points here. As I say, we already have one indexed fund, which we administer through CMI. We've already paid and continue to pay significant funds to Envision St. John to do economic development and tourism. We have a contract with them. And we are already paying very significant funds to ameliorate the side effects of the landfill. So I'll refer you to page 59, and it's there. So we're over $500,000 now. And CMEI is not on that list, and that's, if my memory serves me correctly, it's about $80,000 now, 80 to 90. And we've given several million to the host community through that over the past number of years. So I think this is becoming very, very costly. And I should say, I certainly agree with all the amelioration things. The public education, the improved diversion, enhanced leachate, the additional litter pickup and so on. Certainly agree with all that, but I think the cost of this is becoming excessive, and I think, in my view, we need to draw the line somewhere, and to me, this is the line. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you. Any more comments or questions? Libby?
Yeah, the reference to, for 2026, so $67,000 annual with half New Brunswick CPI annually. So that could be a sliding scale. A few years ago, the CPI went up to over 7%. Half of that would be 3.75. I think it was 7.5 or something like that. So that could be 3.75 in a given year, which I did have that math worked out, but I don't have it in front of me, unfortunately.
Just use your head, Libby. Just figure
No.
it out.
Okay, it would be,
A lot of money.
No, just-
7,512.
There we go.
Good
I'm not gonna argue.
So it could become quite significant, or it could be, far less. But I was always under the impression that, that what was agreed to with the CMEI was exactly that. It was a legacy for the communities that were going to be affected by the landfill site. And then when this came up again, I saw it on the budget line, but wasn't really, I guess that's my fault. I should have inquired more about it. And I know that there are guidelines in terms of reference and so forth to, in order for the expenditures of that money. But it's money, again, that we are putting back into that area that I felt was already being looked after, and I felt that, the director there was doing a wonderful job, that anytime somebody had a complaint, they were right on top of that to make sure that those complaints were addressed. So I guess I'm missing why suddenly after 27 years has this been enacted, since 1998, why is this just coming out now? Like, why did it come about last year? And again, even if we capped it at 2%, so next year it would be 68,000. Following year it would be 69,700. Following year after that, so in that 3-year period, it's going to be up to 71,100. So it's growing exponentially.
Yeah, so I think that back in, again, like that September 4th or 5th meeting, whatever it was, during the budget, there's a discussion point in there, if you reference back to the material. When it was talked about, the reason it's now is because with the advent of the acceptance of the EIA and the business case associated with it, the discussion was the $22 million in savings to all of the benefit all of the communities, but the nature and it was really the appeal was that it was such a financial gain that there should be a benefit economically to the host communities because they're the ones hosting it. And so that's how we presented it. It's so it's an economic development fund associated with the $22 million in savings, and it was accepted at that point and approved for distribution. And then the budget subsequently was approved. So, from my standpoint, it's in the budget. The money is supposed to be spent, but I need guidelines on how to spend it. You're asking the question on the origin, and that is the origin as far as
my memory, Mark.
Yeah.
I do recall that now, that this was appeasement is the wrong word, but this was kind of a thank you to those host communities for agreeing that the augmentation of 100 feet higher, yes, it's going to impact your community, so we are going to provide.
Depends who you ask, but that's basically the premise of what was said. So from my standpoint, managing the budget, I need to execute this, but I need to do it with a reference guide, and this is kind of what we came up with, and that's all I'm asking for. It's on my budget line. I've got to spend it.
I can support it, but I'm not really feeling comfortable about half of the CPI.
Yeah, that's a good point too. I think it was a point you noticed in the report that was referenced as well, and I think it was, first of all, to the point. If we're looking at the community grants across, we did a full breadth of review on the community grants, and I couldn't find one that had kind of an incremental approach. So normally it's, here's the amount of money for 5-year period, and now we're going to review and see if we put it up. And that's generally how the community grants work. Even the local communities here are the same way. But we have a history with our other community grants of having this increment with the CMEI grant, of having this exact increment. So we wanted to be consistent. There was even the question of should we exceed it, but the issue is that this increments typically aren't done on community grants, so it's a fair question. But we do it with the other community grants, so we felt that it was incumbent upon us to be consistent, and so that's kind of that's the premise behind the increment. You're not talking. I get it, like over a period of time it's going to be more, but ultimately it was also to keep it out of the hands of the board. The old CMEI one was to keep it out of the hands of the board on a consistent basis, because the changing of the guard, as it were, it really isn't meant to provide some increment cost to cover increasing costs. And then the question becomes, well, why CPI on the index? Because CPI is so volatile, and it's volatile because of food and fuel. So why in the heck would we use CPI? Well, that's why we put half CPI, because most projects aren't associated around food and fuel. Those are mostly, personal increments, but it's a number everyone recognizes. So that was kind of the premise behind it, and but that's at the end of the day, that's where we're coming from. It's consistent with what we've done in the past, so that's reasonable, and so it doesn't become matter of debate why this fund's getting less than the other fund in the sense of increment. And so that was the premise behind the suggestion, and I think it makes us look better, where it exceeds other performers in the sense of community grants, in the sense that we truly are investing and we're willing to invest in growth. And and it's based on population. Why? Well, it's because it's about usage and growth in the community without tying it to tax base, which can disproportionately over time dwindle the fund for some communities. So that's the premise behind it. Whether it's right or wrong, that's for you guys to debate. But in my mind, it's consistent with what we've done in the past. We are funding it from presumably $22 million in savings. So, the argument would be could be drop in the bucket, but every dollar is important. So I don't want to. I just.
Thanks for that.
That's our reasoning.
Good, thank you. Brendan first.
Thank you. So obviously, I suggested this fund back when the advent of the landfill height expansion started, because it's about fairness and it's about being good corporate neighbors. So obviously, when you live right beside the landfill, you do get all of the negative impacts of the landfill. And it does impact the economic development and growth of my community. I smelled the landfill on the way into town today, as an example. So, it's less likely for people to want to invest in my municipality because the landfill is there, both because they can see it, and oftentimes, even with the amelioration, they can still smell it. So this was about fairness. There's a huge benefit to the rest of the region for us having the landfill there. The landfill will now be there longer, and it will be higher, and it will be more unsightly because of the landfill height expansion. I think from a fairness perspective that this is the right thing for the region to do, and I would certainly support this if the landfill was beside anybody else's community, for sure. The difference between this and the CMEI grant is specifically to try and mitigate the negative economic development effects that having the landfill right there may have on my community and the relevant affected communities of the city of St. John. CMEI grants are fine, but they're not strategic. And they're meant to assist with quality of life, the delivery of certain community groups, etc. This is strategic. This is targeted. It's meant to help mitigate those negative effects to my economic development in the city of St. John. I think it's completely fair. I support the terms of reference and the fund in itself.
Very good.
Thank you.
John? Oh, did you want to go, Nancy? You were next.
I just wanted to say that it was never clearly made clear to the board during budget last fall that this was going to be an indexed fund. That was never made clear. So when I voted for that, I thought that was a one-off. And this, like I say, is quite a different kettle of fish, just to clarify that point.
Mr. Chair, if I could comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
That is correct. Like the fund was just associated with the 2025 budget, $67,000. This is, you're right, this is completely a recommendation coming from staff after the research and the investigation process. So you're absolutely correct. There was no indication of index at the time. It's just a recommendation coming through the process right now. So so thank you for bringing that up, because yes.
Mr. Chair, I'm done.
You done? John?
I just want to say that this is starting to catch on now. I don't know if you heard, but with the idea of a possible expansion in the Spruce Lake Industrial Park, they're talking about what's in it for us, because it's going to affect our area, and this actual funding was brought up at at our open hearing. So I think it's something that we're going to see more and more as communities start taking on these economic development things. We're going to say, okay, how's it affecting our community, and how are we going to be compensated for it? I think it's good.
Good discussion.
Mr. Chair,
Yep.
just to the comment on Director Merrifield. as well, is that was part of, we had a number of options of how to go out the fund, but the association with the strategic vision was the main reason for the recommendation of this approach. So to go through the communities by the population base. So thank you for that.
If I may.
Bruce? Yeah.
To me, it sounds like a pretty small number. If the next option is to have a brand new landfill in one of our communities.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's important that we support Grand Bay and St. John in this fund, and quite frankly, it could be a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, we have a motion on the table. All in favor?
Hi.
Contrary minded?
No.
Nancy, make note of that, please. Thank you. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
All right. Next one, 5.3. This for Phil.
Yeah. This is, I've invited Andrew Beckett to this conversation in case there's any questions. But essentially, this is something that you should all be aware of, that we signed an agreement with Envision St. John. Well, it wasn't we, it was a little bit more complicated than that at the time in 2022. The minister signed it. But we have an agreement with Envision St. John. And at the time, it had a strategy and KPIs that was tied to it. And part of the agreement we have with Envision St. John is that we work together to develop new strategies and new KPIs. And over the years, they've pursued their strategies and reported to us. We've shared that with the board, and we've done those reviews with the work they've done. At this stage, what this report is seeking to do is that Envision St. John has updated their economic development, their 5-year economic development and tourism promotion strategies, which are tied to the service we are expected to do by provincial legislation. And we choose Envision St. John to do that work for us. And so this report essentially just breaks down how Envision St. John had developed those two strategies, tourism promotion, they call it tourism master plan, and the economic development strategic plan, and then also the key performance indicators. And there are key performance indicators that are highlighted in the agency's specific strategy, which is also tied to this report, which breaks it down, and then in turn seeks a resolution from the board for us to make necessary adjustments to our agreement with Envision St. John to incorporate these updated information, the strategy, as well as the KPIs. The only thing that I would add on KPIs, and then certainly if Andrew has anything else to share, I think it would be important for him to speak up, is that in the work of Envision St. John, they've got to be honest with what they can and cannot do. And I think when they've shared their KPIs to us, they've clarified that what they can fulfill is their annual work plan. They can pursue a work plan that's tied to their strategy. That is the macro, is their strategy, and the micro is their annual work plan. And we should be very keen on making sure that their work plan is tied to their strategy, as Andrew's board should as well. But we should be very keen on that, because that's what we should ultimately evaluate Envision St. John, is their ability to deliver on that, and also tie that work to the broader outcomes we're looking from economic development. So this is this report is really just to inform that exercise. We would come back at a later date and tell you what type of changes are required from a contract standpoint, if any. But we do suspect there are some. Andrew, anything else you'd like to add to that?
No, I think that's fair. I guess I would look at the original contract that's in place for the delivery of our services. I think the accountability piece is muddled at best. And that's why I would say that there is a need to revisit that. Yeah, I think there's two different things that you've got to look at, and this is what this attempts to do. First, as Phil says, you've got a mandate through provincial legislation to deliver economic development and tourism promotion. Well, part of our work as Envision St. John is to bring to you a plan for the region, because it's not really Envision's plan, this is the region's plan. Because we engaged a wide cross-section of people throughout the region in terms of development of both plans. So part of the work that we do is to on your behalf to develop those plans, to work with the region development. So that's why they're here and the plans that we're exercising. The other piece, though, is to sort out the accountability piece for us, because you now have a contract that has us delivering it, and that's the piece that Phil and I have been going through. And I think we can suggest some tweaking of the master services agreement to improve that accountability piece, so that there are clear measures for how you're holding Envision accountable on a yearly basis for delivery of the services that we've been contracted to provide. You'll see that with our budget submission this year, that we've got a detailed action plan that's coming with the 2026 budget request that ties to these strategies and some other work that we're doing, and so we're trying to be more visible and accountable in terms of the actions that we're doing.
Okay, thank you. So there is a resolution there.
Move the resolution.
Second.
There's 3 resolutions, right?
There is, we can consent to all 3 unless there's a question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're good with
Do all
that?
3.
We'll go with all 3? Okay.
Do
So
it.
moved by John, second by Nancy. On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thank you. Thanks, Andrew. All right.
Chug along.
Chug
Chair, if I
along.
may, we just need to keep on top of timing. We only have 15 minutes left of our meeting.
Well, really? All right, let's go with this one. Scott, Regional Public Community Transportation. We got 15 minutes, so you got about 2.
It'll be really quick.
Yeah,
This
no.
is not important work at all. No details needed, I assume. Okay, well, thanks for having me aboard. Just wanted to talk about some of the work we've been doing at the Regional Transportation Committee level and sort of some other background work. I think really this comes from a conversation Phil and I had with RDC a few months ago. And so there's money available for transit initiatives, which is really exciting. And quite a bit, I think, which is good news for us, right? So we worked with the Regional Transportation Committee and the CAOs. We worked with those 2 groups a few times at least to develop this regional, I want to call it Public Community Transportation Public Charter. This charter really sets the framework for what expanded and new regional transit options would look like for our region. So, you know, again, there's money out there, it's available. This is the charter itself kind of sets, you know, what this could look like.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to save Scott a lot of time here.
Yeah.
Like, I'll move the resolution.
Oh,
I mean,
really?
we're asking to ask for money. I think that's,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, I
right?
can.
Nothing wrong
Does
with
anybody
that.
see anything wrong?
I just didn't want to assume
I'll
you
move
folks
it.
No.
read the.
Seconder.
Moved by John, second by Jim.
We read it.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
question on this motion?
I have a question for the CEO, probably. I'd like to know the cost of the Dillon study to do this
Yeah.
charter.
I think it was below $10,000, and it was basically to frame with some. We needed some technical expertise on how communities tackle this successfully and what steps are needed. We were getting a lot of different feedback from different communities, and we wanted just a neutral third party. So we thought it was a good investment, and if it gets us and unlocks this money from RDC, you know, that's the goal.
And second question, the UNB assisted survey that we did, what, a year ago, year and a half ago? What was the cost of that?
So I think you know the answer to it.
I think it was 5.
It's
Yeah,
fine.
it was 5, it was, okay, thank you.
All right. Libby?
And it's probably everyone knows, Rob saying, Chris Dempsey's have taken it on themselves to do the transit system within our communities. It's something that we have been doing research on and so forth. And I know that my representative there, Mike Bigger, brought that to the table at one point came back and said he really felt that there was going to be support for our communities, because we are two of the largest representatives population-wise, fairly large geography as well. And I'm not sure how that all ended, except that he didn't feel that there was support for our very large communities to move forward and say, hey, we are willing to do this, and we are a huge part of this region. We had already started it a year or so ago, before this transportation committee, or the FRSC transportation committee, got to this point. So, was there value in what Councillor Digger brought to the table?
For sure, and I think part of the challenge is, I did offer sort of like staff support, right? And so our budget was set in stone, so it's, there wasn't, at least from the financial assistance standpoint, I just don't know if, I think we'd have to know that information, as before we set our budget, right? So, and but we are investigating some other sort of options to see if we can leverage some of the money we have from different sources. So that was part of what I was going to provide a bit of an update on. It's still, we're still looking into it, but we do recognize that you guys have advanced. And
because I think there could be significant value in what we have done, and we've got a team of engineers and so forth working with GIS, mapping out the routes and all that sort of thing. We will be reporting, what the uptake is, what the weaknesses are, how we can tweak it, and we will tweak it along the way. It will be available during the summertime and probably 1 month into the fall. We've had wonderful feedback. Both Rossi and Quispensys have had surveys online, and we've had great feedback and praise to our communities for actually taking this on, because as we can both attest to, we've had newcomers, we've had people who aren't able to drive for whatever reason, who have come to us and said, we need transportation. Then we've had developers who have come to us and said, we'll develop if there's transportation. So these are all connected. Even high-density housing is connected to transportation, because people want to be able to leave their cars. So anyway, I have to express that I was disappointed that there wasn't a little more support, because I didn't feel that we were supported as a large portion of this region to say, we're going to do this. And I understand that you can't jump in with both feet. I get that 100%, because the budget wasn't there, and I understand that. But I guess any kind of support is good support, as long as it is, moving this file forward. So I just wanted to know what the buy-in was for.
And I would, through the chair, I would add too, that's why, this charter does reflect these demonstration projects, and that's why we did the KV Go project, to us, kind of fits the criteria of that sort of demonstration project. So depending on when we're able to access this money, then that's a for sure thing. And as noted, we are looking at some other options in terms of leverage funding to see, because this will take a while. So we're hopeful that something else will work out, so we can kind of expedite at least the financial piece.
And I think KV and Rossi and Quispensys would be more than happy to provide any information that we garner from our studies and from this demonstration that we are doing. So you have that in your pocket.
And Mr. Chair, could I just make one comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
Rossi put the survey regarding KV Go online last week, and in the first 45 minutes, we had 50 responses.
Yes, sir. So
there is a
interest.
need and there is an interest.
Yeah, sure.
So,
May I just add, we received this mandate from the province, this regional transportation mandate, and it states that RSCs are responsible for this. It's one of its core responsibilities. And we're still trying to work out what that looks like. And what do you do when you don't know what to do? You go back to your members. You keep your board up to date. You include it in your work plan. You talk to the CAOs. And as soon as we discovered that this was something that there was broad-based synergy on, and this is outside of this particular pilot or demonstration-based project in Quispamsis and Rothsay, we said, we gotta get money, and we gotta get everybody on the same page. Instead of allowing Grand Bay to do what they want, and St. John to do what they want, Hampton to do what they want, that's not the mandate. The mandate is for us to work collectively, and there's no playbook here. So we're like, let's go back to what's core to us. What's core to us is let's bring our members together. Let's put it on paper. Let's figure out what it is. Let's see if we can leverage more dollars. So I hear you that you felt that there's not
And
support.
to that point, Phil, sometimes we have to trust the work that's been done by members of the community, by your members here, and understand that money is important, time is important, but time is also of the essence. And waiting over time in order to, see how much money can be garnered from the government. Sometimes we have to act because sometimes governments have a way of dragging things out, and we felt as twin, as neighboring communities, that this was important that we act now. So I get what your mandate is to bring the members together, but I also understand what the demands are in our communities, and we have to act on those. So,
Sure.
But thank you, Scott, for the work that you do, because I've heard that it's very good.
Yeah.
In the words of an old sea captain, damn torpedoes, full speed ahead.
I'm with you, Jim.
So we do have a motion on
Yep.
the floor, Chair.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
Okay, next is Graham. Canada Leaves.
Hey, Graham, you also have 2 minutes.
Excellent. All right. Good morning, everyone. In the interest of time, I will condense my presentation into 5 scenes. We're going to set the scene, the process, the who, the why, and the how much. Obviously, we can all picture a 40-year-old arena, or excuse me, aquatic center. I'm getting my recreation facilities mixed up. Tasked with hosting the 2029 Canada Games. And we all collectively share the responsibility of bringing it up to standard to make the Fundy region proud. Obviously, we passed resolutions through this board, pushing us to an RFP process in collaboration with the City of St. John and the procurement team to find and select the proper architect for a design-build project for this aquatic center enhancement study. That RFP closed the beginning of May, and we were thrilled with the 3 bids that we received. Very qualified candidates all around. We convened a group of expertise through asset management of the city, the FRSC, past management of the Canada Games Aquatic Center, and other engineering expertise of the city to review these, do a second round with 2 of the candidates, and finally settled on our selection of MJMA Architects in partnership with Acre Architecture Limited. We felt that this was, based on our matrix of scoring, not only the highest overall score of all the applications received, but also at a cost that I will point out is not only was acceptable compared to the other 2 bids, but if we go back to our original resolution from February, put it $1.9 million under our estimate for what we believe that this process would cost.
I'd move the resolution.
Yeah, John.
I think you did a great job.
No, that's good.
Appreciate that.
Well, in the interest of time.
Yeah, moved by John, second by Nancy. Question on this motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Carried. That was quick. Sorry.
Confidence.
Sorry, Graham.
Who's next?
Nancy told you only had a
We
minute.
know you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Okay.
Bill, your time's up.
Yeah. So we're going on to the,
Brenda.
yeah. Brenda, Fundy Regional Strategy Update.
Cassie, I emailed you the presentation.
Do we have time for a full presentation?
No, well, I'll jump through it. I think I've got, but
Okay,
if
can
you
we
could
just-
bring it up,
Yep.
that would be great.
Start,
So
yeah.
people can follow along and. and I'll use some of the slides, but not all of the slides that we have in here. But there is a lot of detail within. So I think what I'll try to do is hit what the key parts are for you to look at from the board. So we are going through, as you know, we did our regional strategy back in 2023. And the original proposal said to come back and review that in 2026. We've decided to do it 1 year early because we are constantly hearing through various different sources through those past 2 years. We've been hearing lots of different things that should be brought back to the regional strategy. So we said, let's do this now and in time to impact the budget as well as we move forward with it. Over that time and take a look at this, but we've done it in a certain process that we have gone through. So on this very first slide, can you go back a slide? This is the second slide, Cassie. There we go, thank you. So I just want to talk about the process that we did go through. We initially sent out a survey to the committees to get their feedback on our the vision for their committees, the goals, and then the actions within. Then that came back to the staff for review and to basically review the information, develop some proposed changes. It then went back to the committees as a group to confirm that information and make sure the committees then approve those changes. And now we're at the board of directors, so we've then last May, Phil came with an update at the last meeting, gave a verbal update about the process. And now I'm here with an update. This is not the exact final version because one section, the admin and governance section, still has more work to do through the CAOs. However, the other areas have gone through this full process. Each of the other mandate areas, each of the new mandate areas, I should say. So solid waste and community planning sections have not gone through this process. They are open for review if there were issues, etc., but they have not gone through the same process as they have long history behind them, etc. So we really looked at the new mandates with this. If we want to go to the next slide now. The vision for the commission as a whole, nope, back a slide, please. Back.
I'm trying.
Sorry. So the vision, this happened quite a while ago that your vision was, but it has not yet been adopted. There's a slight revision to the wording. Those are the highlighted words. So the vision for the commission the proposal is aspiring collaborative excellence, resilient communities, and delivering valuable outcomes. And then other pieces that we see as really important here to you at the board and that we want to make sure is echoed throughout the strategy are these next pieces. That we're ensuring that the needs of the local communities are the center to the work that we do here. That the strategy really highlights the importance to identify these tangible or demonstration projects that offer immediate value to each of you. So those are the key themes that we are doing. The final piece that we're looking at is maybe we take all these actionable items that made our strategy so massive and attach those as an appendix at the back so that the strategy is the vision and the goals of each committee as well. all of the next slides go through each of the committees. I've kind of summarized what the changes are. Any of the new actions are within there. I guess in light of time, we can leave it at this stage. You have it for you to review. We can answer any questions right now. There's also a link at the end that is the document where all the actual changes are highlighted, etc. So if we've merged them, if they've been reworded, etc., they're held within this document as well.
Yep, and we all have that.
Who's the
This is just a
Just an
receive and
update.
file right now. There's
file.
no
Receive and
action.
file update, yeah. Thank you, Brenda. So moved by John, second by Libby, to receive and file this. Question on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thank you,
Okay,
Brenda.
that was easy.
Sorry to rush you.
I'm gonna have to leave.
Yeah.
I've got another commitment.
Okay, it's all good.
We're going to go very quick on the, I'm going to actually propose that we do the next two items together. And it's a really very quick update that the budget parameters for 2026 have changed a little bit due to the impact of the freeze on property tax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We basically informed, what's important for everybody here to know is that we've informed the 5 regional facilities, and Envision St. John is aware of each department of the FRSC that next year's budget is not one to take lightly because of the impact that property freeze will have on local government investors. So we basically use the language that it is a maintained service, but is not an expansion service year, that each entity within the family of the FRSC should be aware of that, and that any new expenditure would have to have a pretty significant business case, and that it would be the priority to identify those expenditures through existing savings within our own respective budgets and our respective departments as well. So I just want to make sure that you're aware that you're adapting as local governments, and I know you are in rural districts, with what this means to your budgets and your impact, but we have to adapt. And this is what that is saying, and that we're making sure that all our family of partners are aware of that as well. The second piece is the Q1 financials. There's not much to report in the Q1 financials, as it is only the start of the year. It is a flat budget. We're kind of on target, but we'll continue to monitor, and it is an important part of our controls that we have in place. That's all.
Receive and file.
Yep. So moved by Libby, second by...
Second.
Second by Nancy.
See you, John.
Question on this motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Carried. That's to take both of them, right?
Yes, that was for both.
Very good, thanks. All right, standing items. So, Andrew, verbal update. You're up again, sir.
I will be very brief, Mr. Chair, in the interest of your time. Just wanted to update the board on a few items. Regional immigration strategy, again, another key item, a key strategic framework document for the mandate that we have in terms of now immigration settlement that we're providing some support to the FRSC on. We also have a contract with the federal government to deliver on immigration. So we've completed the immigration strategy. It was approved by the local immigration partnership. The city of St. John actually has endorsed it through the growth committee, and it will be going to city council over the next month or so. It will replace the city's Succeed and Stay strategy. So I've sent that on to Phil. Our hope is that at a coming meeting that the FRSC board will endorse that strategy. It really sets a framework for how the community partners are working together to support immigration and retention of newcomers. Another key item that I wanted to update everybody on is that we do have a trade diversification project that we've embarked on over the last few months. This is in response to the changing geopolitical climate and challenges that are being faced. So the first part of that is doing an opportunity assessment. We engaged David Campbell to work with us in terms of taking a broader look at where some of the opportunities were. No surprise in terms of what comes out of that work: modular construction, critical minerals / natural gas, defense, the port, energy, and energy projects generally, and also looking for ways to displace U.S. imports. That wherever we've got an opportunity to work with businesses and looking at other ways for them to get some of the imports, some of the products that they need. So with that piece of work that we're finalizing now, the next step is to then go out and talk to the 5 or 6 major employers in the region to find out from them what emerging opportunities they're seeing. So that would include Irving Oil, JDI, Cook, Moosehead, Ocean Steel, I think is another one. We're doing that jointly with Opportunities New Brunswick, so we'll be going around and asking them what they see on the horizon in terms of opportunities, so that we're positioning ourselves well in that regard. Another input in terms of it. We're then going to go about, we've engaged with a firm in Montreal that is going to test some of those opportunities with the private sector. So they're actually going to identify companies that they can go and talk to and say, look, we've got a region that's interested in developing some of these things. Is this something you're looking at? So they're going to test that for us, and they're also going to give us information in terms of potential leads for companies that may be interested in investing in some of the areas that have been identified. And that'll help inform our work and also inform OMB's work in terms of investment attraction and the like that we can move on. And then the final piece of the puzzle is we're going to then take a look at what some of the land requirements are associated with supporting those investment attraction opportunities, and make sure that we've got adequate land supply to meet some of those opportunities. So there'll be more to come on that over the next while. Our tourism campaigns are in market right now for the current year. So we've got a lot of tourism promotion efforts that are in market, heavily focused on the maritime provinces, Quebec and Ontario, to really promote that. The stay at home that we expect to see across the country, and so we see some good opportunities there. We have partnered with the province, though, in terms of a campaign going through the eastern United States, that we do see opportunities to attract visitors from the U.S., and so we're doing some work on that. We continue to be very busy in terms of our event attraction work. We've got, I don't know what the current number is, but we put a lot of bids in for different events coming up. We just put a bid in for the 2027 Men's World Curling Championships. That won't be decided until the fall, but we think we've got a good proposal in there, at least, that we hope will get fair consideration, and we're looking at a number of other ones that we think will be good for the region. I mentioned ones like the World Curling Championship because it's a great event in terms of utilization of regional facilities. We'll make extensive use of TD Station, we'll make extensive use of the Trade and Convention Center, so that if we're successful in that, it brings more revenue into those facilities, which would then have impact in terms of hopefully reducing the deficits and reducing the financial commitments that are associated with those facilities. We're also developing an event attraction management framework because we think event attraction is very important for a lot of different reasons, for economic impact, but also for the social cultural side of things. It's important, and so we're developing a bit of a framework to help shape up what needs to be done to take a long-term view in terms of some event attraction work. 2029 Canada Games. We're in the process of forming the host society. We've got our chairs in place with Louis Legier from Moncton and Bill from this area. I must say, as those two individuals have already, quite frankly, watching from the one side, I'm surprised that we've got anybody who would take on the work. The amount of time they have already put into this is unbelievable, and it's a 4-year commitment on their part. But they're both keen as can be and are doing a great job so far in terms of putting together. So the framework for the host society is pretty rigid with the Canada Games Council. We're getting the federal representative, provincial representative, working through an Indigenous representative that'll be on there. There's legal representation. At a future meeting, I'll come back with the full composition of that host society. It's about 14 or 16 positions that will be on it. But so far, that's coming together well. The one outstanding piece with the Canada Games is getting the finalization of the commitment from the province for an additional $1.5 million. That is going well in terms of discussions. We don't have final sign-off on it, but we expect to have that within the next 3 or 4 weeks that the province is, that's moving through their approval processes. I think that's it. The only other one that I wanted to mention was, I know that the UNSM has put out a sort of a request for municipalities to take a look at provincial and federal lands that they may be interested in for housing opportunities. We've actually been doing work on that over the last several months. And we've identified with the province a number of parcels that we think should be looked at. A lot of them are in the city right now, but we have got a couple that are outside the city. The CAOs are aware of the work that's ongoing. We've had very positive discussions with the Minister of Housing and Housing NB on it. The parcels we're looking at wouldn't necessarily be caught on a quick review of provincial or federal lands because they are portions of provincial lands. So you can take a look at a school property and say, well, that's a school property. Why would you look at that? But we're saying, well, you've got more land there than you need for the school. Maybe there's an opportunity to carve off and do a subdivision on it. So we're expecting within the coming days, and they've assured us that before the end of the month, we'll have initial feedback from Housing NB on moving forward with some of those lands, and we hope to be on a continuing cycle of looking at some of those surplus lands around the region to make them available for housing going forward. I think that's all I've got for now.
Thank you, Andrew. Well,
Can I just ask Andrew one question? Canada Games.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any idea when we're going to know who's getting what sports? I think
Uh,
it was supposed to be April, then it was
well-
supposed to be June, and
Well, we know what they are now.
But it's not
We're not
public.
allowed to publicly
Right.
announce them because they want to wait until after the 2025 games, because
Oh,
there's a
okay.
lot of politics, a
Okay.
lot of politics associated with the sports selection, what sports are in and out, and they don't want to deflate athletes and provinces that would be participating in some sports at the 25 games, that then find out they're not going to be there for the 29 games. So officially, it will be the fall, but as far as our planning goes for the 29 games, we do know what the sports are going to be.
Good.
What I can assure you is we've got the split between ourselves and Moncton is equal in terms of number of sports and number of participants. So it's a very good 50-50 split, and there's good profile sports for both areas.
so do our CAOs know, so they can be looking at the facility? That's what I'm getting to.
We've
Yeah.
advised in terms of the facilities that are specific to the individual communities. And look, it's a friendly room, I have no problem going through it. Ross is going to be the rowing and
Okay.
kayaking.
I
Because we've
would
been
pause,
invited.
we are recording.
Yeah, which is, I mean, I.
It will be published on the website.
Well, that one's fairly well known, and is consistent. And so, yeah, in terms of the other ones, in terms of other communities, they're well aware of them,
Okay.
at the CAO level too.
Okay, thank you.
Because I know Hampton's aware of it,
Right.
Quispan is aware.
it's exciting, yeah. When that gets out to the public, it's a really big deal.
Yeah, like I said, the official announcement on the sports will be, I think it's through Canada Games, and I think it'll be September, October.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
Thank you for your report and update. Verbal update there, Andrew. You need to receive motion.
I don't think you need to receive
Report.
that as anything, it was a verbal update. However, we are on to committee agendas.
Yeah, so, yeah, the committee agendas, we think a motion to receive and file those, please.
So moved.
Second.
Move-
Second.
Moved by Brittany, second by Nancy. Question on the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Reminded, carried. Yeah, so these next three, 8.1 to 8.3, they can be done together, receive and file. Anybody like to motion that?
So moved.
Moved by Jim,
Seconded, Libby.
second by, I can't see her name tag.
Libby. As in beans.
By Libby, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, carried. Items from closed.
First item from closed, if the chair
Yep.
would like me to read it out.
Yes,
Appoint
please.
Cindy McCready to the Funding Regional Service Commission's Planning Review and Adjustment Committee for a 4-year period, starting on June 28th, 2025, ending on June 26th, 2029.
Then take a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Jim,
Second.
second by Nancy. Question on this motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, carried.
Next one we'll do together is first is direct the FRSC to execute on the letter to offer from Working NB for employment services and labor market support, referenced and attached to this report, and then direct the FRSC to execute on the special project agreement for workforce development services with Division St. John, referenced and attached to this report.
So, motion then?
So moved.
Moved by Jim, second by
Second.
Nancy. Question on this motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Carried. That it? Oh, that old thing. Yeah. Yeah, so we all know about the performance review. You've all had the report, what we've discussed. Someone like to make the motion on that,
Move
please?
acceptance of the report.
Moved by Libby,
I'll second.
second by Brittany. Question on this motion? All in favor?
Aye.
I was waiting there, nobody. All in favor? Contrary minded? Motion carried.
Through the chair, I'd like to abstain from the vote based on our conversation in closed.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you.
I apologize.
No, that's okay.
Thanks, Bruce. So Bruce did not vote, okay? All right, so motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved by Jim. We need a second or now? Libby, you want a second?
No second to adjourn.
Yeah,
Everything's been covered.
Good job.
yeah, all right. Sorry, guys, that was a long one, but there was a lot of good discussion,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, got a lot done.
Thank you.
Okay.